In today's video, we are looking at the special hits of the 70s. And what do I mean by special hits? I'm talking about those novelty hits. Do you remember those? We had them in the 60s and in the 80s as well. But Steve Vowles asked me to have a look at the 70s novelty hits. So I thought I'd pick a few out for you. And we're going to start by going back to 1979. The first song I've chosen is based on a television advert from the time. The advert was for Campari, and it had a lady called Lorraine Chase in it. And she came up with a little two-word catchphrase, if you like. Here it is.
Wafted here from paradise.
No, Luton Airport.
And after that, they just had to make a record of it. And so four girls got together, called themselves Cats UK, and they made this, Luton Airport. And in the October of 1979, that got to number 22. Let's go back to the summer of 1976. At the time, I was at school in Somerset, and it was the right place to be for this record, which got to number 1 that summer. There was a group in Somerset called the Wurzels. They were dressed up as farmers, they had the West Country accent and everything, and they brought out a record which was a parody, if you like, of Melanie's Brand New Key. And they called it Combine Harvester.
'Cause I got a brand new combine harvester, and I'll give you the key.
Next up, we are going to October of 1978. This was the first time many of us came across a singer by the name of Paul Young. At the time, he was in a group called Street Band, and they did a song about something that most of us love for breakfast, toast.
I thought I'll have toast. A little piece of toast.
It was the first time we'd see Paul Young. We would see him a lot more in the 80s. That song got to number 18 in the UK charts. In the May of 1979, a record came in the charts which was a big novelty. It had this long one-word start, and it was about Tonto and the Lone Ranger. It was done by Quantum Leap, and it was something that everybody was talking about at the time. It did well too. It got to number 5 in the UK chart. Coming up next, we've got something by the singer Ray Stevens. Now, he was known for making novelty hits. He also sang songs like Everything is Beautiful and the wonderful Misty. But he made the charts in May of 1974 with this one, which was quite topical at the time, The Streak.
Well, yes, they call him the street.
Going back to 1972 now, with an artist who was one of the greatest pioneers of rock and roll music. It had hits like Johnny B. Good and Maybelline. He'd charted all through the years, and this one came about from a live in London concert that he did. It was a song that had been originally done by Dave Bartholomew in the 1950s, but his version made it to number 1. Do you remember My Ding-a-Ling?
On a string, she told me it was my ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Up next, we are going back to 1972 with a total novelty, if you like. This one is the one song that has hit the UK charts that had in the band a mother and son. It's a total novelty. It's absolutely brilliant. This is Lieutenant Pigeon and Mouldy Old Dough. And believe it or not, that got to number 1 as well. Coming up next, it's back to 1970. Now, there's a guy in this group called Tony Burrows. The other is Roger Greenaway. Between them, they had hits all over the UK charts for years. Tony Burrows as a singer, Roger Greenaway as a writer. But they got together to do this little ditty, if you like. And they called themselves the Pipkins. This is Gimme That Ding. And in May of 1970, that got to number 6. Moving on, it's now the summer of 1978. We've had punk. Punk is working its way out, and new wave is coming in. But the end of punk also brought this classic record. It's a novelty for that era, no doubt. This is Jilted John, and the song is Jilted John.
I was so upset that I cried all the way to the chip shop.
Coming up now, we're talking about a television. When I was a young teen, very young teen, tea time on BBC, they used to be a programme called The Wombles of Wimbledon. And they made a record. In fact, they made 3 or 4, and all of them got into the charts. But this is the first one that kicked it off for them. Remember, you're a Womble. And that made it to number 3. And for my penultimate choice in this little rundown of novelty tunes, we're going back to 1978. The song had been recorded by an artist called Guy Marks 10 years earlier in 1968, but it had no impression on the UK chart whatsoever. It was re-released in 1978 and it got into the charts of April that year. Loving You has Maybe Bananas, and it got as high as number 25. And so my final one, my final little novelty song that always brings a smile to my face. We're going back to 1978. Now, I'm sure, like me, you've probably seen Grease, and you probably know the main song from Grease, You're the One That I Want, Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. A big, big hit wherever it went out. But there was another version of it, another slightly more novelty, slightly more special version. And that didn't get into the UK charts, but it was played everywhere and it's brilliant. And I'm going to finish up with this one. Arthur Mallard, Hilda Baker, You're the One That I Want.
The one I need, oh yes indeed.
I hope you've enjoyed that. If you've stuck around to the very end, give us a comment down below. Tell me which was your favourite of those, and tell me of some others from the 70s that I didn't include. And if you click up there, I'm going to put a playlist of all these CDs that's behind me, so you can get to look to see what's in my studio. I'll see you next time.